Hello fellow coffee botherers, I'm Kev from coffeeblog.co.uk, and in this video I'm going to be answering the very regularly asked question, Bambino Plus or Gaggia Classic Pro. This is going to be a short video. I'm not going to be pulling shots or steaming milk for this video as it's just not needed. And if you want to watch my longer review videos of each of these machines, they're up here. So this is a question I get asked a lot in video comments and via email. And I have done a comparison video here, but to be honest, looking back at that video, I think it was too long, I think it was too detailed, and I think I can answer the question much more concisely now that I've used both machines for quite a bit longer. So if you're looking for an espresso machine around about £400 in the UK or $500 in the States, it's likely that you're going to be considering these two machines, the Bambino Plus or the Gaggia Classic Pro. There are other potentials, the Barista Express versus the Gaggia Classic, or the Barista Express versus the Bambino Plus, or the Barista Pro versus the Gaggia Classic, or the Barista Pro versus the Barista Express, etc. But I'm going to do other comparison videos covering these. So if you're stuck between the Bambino Plus and the Gaggia Classic, all you need to do is ask yourself these questions. Do you want to take a machine straight out of the box and just use it as is? You don't want to mess around modding or tweaking. Is user friendliness more important to you than a slight improvement in taste? Do you consider your palate to be not all that amazing, meaning that you might not detect subtle differences in the cup anyway? Would you prefer to have a more modern, more user-friendly machine until it stops working and then replace it as you would with most modern kitchen appliances? Do you want a machine which is user-friendly enough for others in your home to use, people who have no interest in the home barista hobby? If this more or less describes you, then I think you'd be better off with the Bambino Plus. I think the Bambino Plus is made for people like you. But here are some more questions. Are you more than happy with modding a machine, including spending maybe 20 to 25% of the purchase price on modifications? Is taste in the cup more important to you than anything else? Do you consider yourself to have a good enough palate to detect differences in the cup that not all coffee drinkers might be able to detect? Would you prefer a machine that you can maintain and repair over the years so that you can use this machine for the next decade or even the next couple of decades, maybe even longer? Are you more than happy with being the sole home barista at home or training any other members of the household who want to use it how to use the machine? If you think this better describes you, then I reckon you'd be better off with the Gaggia Classic Pro. To explain why, the Bambino Plus is a very clever feature-heavy machine with a big focus on beginner friendliness. As a result, out of the box, in the hands of a complete novice, is likely to produce more enjoyable espresso and espresso-based coffees than the Gaggia Classic, which is a bit of a harder beast to tame. It comes with the razor tool, which sorts out dosing and a level puck. It has a PID, which means digital temperature control, so you don't need to worry about temperature stability. It's ready to use in seconds, and steam is ready almost instantly after pulling a shot. It has automatic low pressure pre-infusion, which reduces the chance of channeling, and channeling makes espresso taste bad. It will automatically steam your milk, and it'll do a much better job of that than most novice home baristas would do manually with the Gaggia Classic or any other machine. But it's great for manually steaming milk too, and click here for my manual milk steaming guide with the Bambino Plus. So the Bambino Plus is a really beginner-friendly espresso machine. It's capable of espresso quality that I think most people will be more than happy with, and I think it's aimed at everyday coffee drinkers versus the more hardcore home baristas. It's a modern kitchen appliance, so just in the same way that most of us are used to having to replace the oven or washing machine or dishwasher when it breaks down just out of warranty, that's just what happens with the lower cost modern kitchen appliances. Usually when they break, you replace them. The Bambino Plus isn't the kind of machine that you're going to be able to take apart and mess around with. If it breaks outside of warranty, it's probably going to go to the scrap man. In the UK at least, I've not been able to find any independent espresso machine engineers who will look at the lower cost Sage machines. Many will deal with the Sage dual boiler, but the lower cost machines, including the Bambino Plus, you're going to have to go directly to the manufacturer, and there's a cost to pay to get it back to them and investigated, and you have to pay this cost even if they can't fix it. So it's hard to justify the cost with lower cost machines like the Bambino Plus. I've had this machine for 2 years and I've had no issues with it at all, and I know other people who've had one for 3, 4 years or longer who've had no problems. But if you're unlucky and if your machine stops working in 3 years' time, for example, you're probably going to be looking at buying a new machine. Now let's talk about the Gaggia Classic Pro. This machine is the same kind of cost as a Bambino Plus, but in the hands of a more hardcore home barista, someone who doesn't mind spending some time, money and energy modding and in taming a Classic, it does have the potential for better shots. A more seasoned home barista is likely to have the palate to be able to detect and enjoy the difference in the cup as well as the skills required. If you're not an experienced home barista but you'd like to be, the Classic may be the better choice, but just keep in mind there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. The Classic isn't as beginner friendly as a Bambino Plus. Once you've modded the Classic to pull shots at 9 bars, which is only about a tenner and fairly simple to do, and fitted a PID, which is about 100 quid and a bit more involved, but there are plenty of guides on doing this. And when paired with a decent espresso capable grinder, in my humble opinion, the Gaggia Classic Pro is capable of better espresso than the Bambino Plus to those who have the palate to detect it. And the Classic isn't in the same class as modern kitchen appliances such as the Bambino Plus. It's a more old school machine. It has standard parts that are readily available, and if you don't have the ability to service and maintain your own machine, there are plenty of people you could take it to, and in the UK you can send it or take it back to the UK distributor for servicing, Gaggia Direct, and I'll put a link in the description below to them. So in a nutshell, if you're a more experienced home barista, or if you'd like to be, and if you're happy to go through the learning curve required, Gaggia Classic Pro. If you consider yourself a normal coffee drinker and you'd rather poke yourself somewhere sensitive with something sharp than to take on a hobby and start modding your machine and so on, Bambino Plus. Simple, I think. Just a quick thing to add, if you're in the States or another country where it's available, because it's not available in the UK, at least not at the moment, the base level Bambino, not the Plus, is $300 in the US, so quite a bit cheaper, and it's almost the same machine. It just doesn't have the auto steam feature. It's slightly smaller, has a smaller water tank, but it has a feature that the Plus doesn't have, and that is it'll dispense hot water via the steam wand. So there you go. If you were one of the many people wondering whether to go for the Bambino Plus or the Gaggia Classic Pro, hopefully this video's made that decision a bit easier for you. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch another one. And don't forget, if you want to become an official coffee botherer, you need to click this image around here somewhere to subscribe to our channel. Tatty bye.